What is going on, guys? This is Daniel, and over the years the Spurs have always had great defenses, and this year is no exception as they have the #1 ranked defense. And the main reason is because they are a smart veteran team that also has Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. But the coaching is also important, and Gregg Popovich and his coaching staff do a great job of employing different strategies and concepts, and the players execute them. So let's take a deep dive into what exactly is going on. Let's get to it. Let's start with matchups, and here against the Pelicans, Tony Parker is on the non-threatening Solomon Hill, and Danny Green is guarding the point guard Jrue Holiday. This is a basic strategy that the Spurs use, and here Danny Green nicely contests the shot. The idea is to hide Parker, who's a poor defender, and even against the small, quick point guards such as Tim Frazier, Green is still on Frazier, and on this play, Frazier travels. Kawhi also guarded Holiday a bit, and one of the advantages now is that switching is not as bad, as if they were to switch here and Tony Parker was switched on Boogie, it'd be bad, but now Kawhi on Boogie, not a huge deal, and the Spurs are able to force a tough shot. And if this encourages Solomon Hill to try to take tough shots over Parker, even better, except for last night when he had 30. Jonathan Simmons forces the steal, and here the matchups were interesting, as Kawhi would obviously be the best player to guard Westbrook, but I've noticed Pop likes to save Kawhi for offense, conserve his energy, so Kawhi is guarding a less threatening offensive player. So Simmons is guarding Westbrook, and Patty Mills is guarding the 6'7 Robertson, and Pop simply does not care about that height difference. Pop saving Kawhi's energy is evident here, as it's Green who's guarding Harden and not Kawhi. But as the game progressed and Houston was beating the Spurs in the third quarter, Kawhi was put on Harden, and here he does a nice job of forcing a tough step back. This is an example of how the Spurs don't always have wings on point guards, as here Mills matches up well with Schroeder, who is a quick, small point guard, and Mills is the one checking him. Mills also started on Damian Lillard, and Parker did not play this game, but if he did, I would imagine he would not be guarding Lillard, and they would have switched up the matchups, as he's a considerably worse defender than Mills. Lillard played well early, so Pop was quick to adjust and put Kawhi on him. It's clear Pop likes to switch things up, and here in the second half, Mills is back on Lillard, and I generally like this idea of switching things up. Now let's talk about how the Spurs defend post-ups, and against Boogie they started things off by bringing a double team, and here Boogie does a nice job of making the kick-out pass for the open three. But in the second half, Pop elected to have Pau Gasol guard Boogie straight up, and here it backfires as Cousins drives in for the dunk. In crunch time, Pop did stick with the one-on-one matchup, they forced a tough shot there, and I'm not even saying I agree with this strategy, I'm just showing you what Pop does, and the Pelicans go after this matchup again, but Cousins travels. And in most scenarios, the Spurs did not double, living with the one-on-one post-up. Even when the skinny Davis Bertans was guarding Millsap in the post, there was no double, and Bertans does a great job here of drawing the charge. And hey, Bertans is pretty good at it. The double drag pick and roll is one of the toughest plays to defend without switching, so the Spurs do switch this, and when Ersan Ilyasova posts up, the Spurs do double the post, and notice how Ginobili on the weak side will zone between the two shooters, anticipate the pass, and get the steal. Great defense. The Spurs again will switch the double drag screen, and then you'll see perfect rotation on the drive coming up, and this is a sign of great defense, and you'll see how Bertans is the one zoning between the two shooters on the first kickout pass. This is clearly something the Spurs practice and the coaches emphasize. The rest of the Spurs recover well, and they force a difficult shot. One of the toughest plays for the Spurs to defend is when Harden runs a pick and pop with either Trevor Ariza or Ryan Anderson, and the Spurs' initial strategy was to switch, but you can see here how Harden shakes Aldridge on the switch and nails a three. But if you don't switch, you risk giving up the pick and pop three. When the switch happened, Harden simply isolated against Aldridge, who didn't have much of a chance containing Harden, and here Harden blows by him. While this isn't ideal, Aldridge also isn't hopeless, and here he does a decent job staying in front and Harden loses the ball. This actually may be their best strategy: switch and then on the drive have prompt help, and if any team can scramble and rotate to prevent Houston from getting an open three, it is the Spurs. In the second half, they did have Aldridge hedge high, and here you can see the drawback as Ariza is open on the pop and he gets the and one. But if Aldridge is quick to recover, it can work, and here he does a nice job of closing out and forcing the contested three. This time they'll hedge with Kawhi on Harden, and he helps Aldridge out by deflecting that pass to Ariza. This was interesting. Against the Lillard pick and roll, they decided to sack their big man back and give Lillard the shot with only a late contest. Inevitably, Lillard got some open threes off this strategy, and what the Spurs are basically saying is, Lillard, will let you get yours, and in this game, Lillard got 36 points, but we're not going to double team you and let you get easy shots for others with simple passes. We'll live with some tough mid-rangers and threes, and while it didn't really work out this game, this isn't a bad strategy. Late in the fourth quarter, the Spurs did decide to double Lillard on the pick and roll, and you can see how this gives up the pass to the roll man, and here Nurkic draws the foul. Against a player like Lillard, there's no good options, just a bunch of okay ones, and again Aldridge will come high on the pick and roll, and here Lillard again finds Nurkic on the roll for the and one. But this can work, and if Kyle Anderson got in front of Nurkic, the only open pass would have been a skip to Aminu, who's not a good shooter anyways. Push comes to shove, they'll get these rotations right in the playoffs. Against CJ McCollum, the same strategy was employed: sag the big man back and rely on the contest from behind to bother the shot. A concept the Spurs use frequently is when defending the pick and roll, the on-ball defender will fight over the screen, and sometimes he'll cover the roll man to prevent that pass, and here Kawhi gets the steal. Watch Danny Green as he fights over the screen to prevent the pull-up three, and then covers Capella on the roll. This isn't easy, and here rookie DeJounte Murray is a hair late covering Cantor on the roll, and he fouls. This can also be used on off-ball screens, and it is essentially a switch that baits the offensive guard into making that pocket pass, and here Green gets the deflection. Green does it again here, and notice how Schroeder will back it out, and now the Hawks have the switch, but Green is able to get the steal in the post. This was fun. The Spurs broke out a zone at the end of the first quarter against the poor shooting Thunder team without Westbrook. It looks to be a 1-2-2 or a 1-3-1, and here Mills gets the steal. With the shot clock off, OKC will hold for the last shot and go late, which plays into the hands of a zone, and the Spurs will live with that 3 by Sabonis. Well, there you have it, guys. One theme that stood out to me was how their defense is structured to not give up kick-out threes, and they do allow the third fewest threes attempted per game in the NBA. From not doubling the post to not allow a kick-out three, they rotate well, but they do switch a lot because rotating can cause mistakes, and mistakes can lead to open threes. So that was my main takeaway. Hope you learned a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.